Hi, my name is Jinan and I wanted to show you today how can we log into the Power BI desktop software, sources from where can we download it, because the Power BI software is a business intelligence platform where you can examine and analyze your data in more detail and present it in a very fashionable and very cool and nice and interesting way to your stakeholders or to people who need some nice formatted reports to understand what's going on with your data, as a summary, as a sum of numbers, as the average of numbers, in order to have a better understanding how to proceed and how to make good and meaningful decisions about them. So Power BI provides us with that. And there are two parts to the Power BI. This is the one that you're seeing right now is the Power BI desktop, and the other one is the Power BI service. In Power BI desktop, it's a free app where you download it. You can export your data from many different data sources, and then you can export all your reports and pages that you design and prepare in the Power BI desktop to the Power BI service in order to generate a nice dashboards. With dashboards, you can share them with your colleagues, the colleagues that their email address is registered inside your Power BI service account. You can also embed the HTML or embed the reports, the dashboard in the HTML, meaning you can get the source code for the dashboard that you upload to embed it into your own website. You can also provide dashboards for the mobile, as we can see, as we are gonna see shortly. So it has many different functionalities, but the main thing that I wanted to touch today is the cloud hosting versus on premises hosting. So the first thing, I just want to connect to the Microsoft SQL Server, and I'm gonna use Microsoft Management Studio in order to connect to it, in order to see our data that we want to work with. Now let's start by getting some data, and I have prepared beforehand the instance name where my data is actually stored, and it is stored on my local computer, so it's on a premises data. So I'm gonna choose SQL Server, and we have many other places where we can grab the data from. I'm gonna choose SQL Server because for this presentation I have my local database on premises with school database, which I downloaded for free from the Microsoft website for training purposes. So I'm going to connect to my SQL Server on premises. And also I'm gonna use the existing logins that I have here. This is my SQL Server name. It's going to ask me for the SQL Server name. So inside the server, we can enter the SQL Server name. Database, I already know the database that I want to work with. It's school, and I'm gonna use direct query. For this presentation, I'm using this because I want to show you how we can host all our reports on premises, and it means that the dashboard that's going to be generated on the Power BI service is going to hold only the data that we need. It's not going to hold all our database tables with its relationships and so on. It's only going to hold the data that we only need and import. So here we can write SQL queries that we need, and I have already prepared one which gets school course name and where it's being provided, on site or on the internet. We need this data. So I'm gonna leave the rest the same here. I'm not going to change anything. I'm gonna hit OK. So now Power BI is going to connect to the school database inside my local on-premises SQL server and use those SQL statements to show us the fields that will be generated from this query. And this is a regular SQL statement, as you can see here. And also, meanwhile, I think it's already done. Okay, we can't connect to the SQL server, error locating server and instance. So let's edit our connection. I'm gonna make sure that our SQL server is started actually by logging here to SQL Management Studio, because those kind of things, they sometimes happen, and unless you configure your SQL server correctly and you know your instance exact name, you might get some errors regarding that. So to solve this, I'm gonna get my instance name from the SQL server itself. As you can see right now, it's very simple. So in order not to make mistakes and to save some time while generating the reports, and while I'm connecting, I'm also gonna go to the Power BI website, which is a service where I have an account there, and I'm gonna log in, sign in order to show you something later on. Here, all my reports are going to be stored. As you can see, I've done some before, which can be transferred into a dashboard. Now, dashboards, as you can see here, those are the dashboards which we will generate after we publish a report to the Power BI service. So this is my default workspace that I've created before. And as you can see, I have dashboards. I have 3 already dashboards which I can share to mobile and to by sending a link via the email to some other people who are registered in my domain here. I have reports from which dashboards are being generated, workbooks. We don't need it right now. Data sets, we need it in the form of direct query, so it's not important for us right now. And let's go back a bit. So we have in our SQL Management Studio, we have school database. I'm going to just make a new query, and because I want to see the instance name, the name of my instance, or the name of my SQL server to which I want to connect to. This is to be 100% sure that I spelled the SQL server name correctly, and I'm gonna say select at server name, and I'm gonna hit execute. So I'm gonna get something like this, a string which contains my SQL server to which I want to connect, and I'm going to copy and paste it here, as you can see, and I'm gonna hit OK. So you see the error was because I mistyped the SQL server name, and by doing this I have corrected the error and everything looks okay. It got me all the courses and all the course locations, because locations in the training database that we have they are located into 2 different tables. They are located in the on-site course and the online course, which are over here, on-site and online. But I joined it in order to get one table from both to generate a nice looking report. I'm going to load this data, or this query rather, in order to manipulate it and make some report from it, or make a very simple report from it. So it's querying, detecting table schema, creating connection in model. This is a very simple table. It doesn't have many connections, it doesn't have any relationships, it's just one single SQL with one single table. Although we can import many SQLs by using the get data, and we can join them later on here, because we can actually make relationships in the Power BI. We can join them manually. So for this I'm gonna use the slicer. Now the slicer, it should show us, as you can see here, information in a list view, and I'm gonna put a course location, drag course location from the right side from the fields to the slicer, and then I'm gonna use a title. Now while this is being generated, I'm going to double click on the card. Okay, so it actually changed the control. I want to stay with this one, so it showed us all the courses. Then I'm gonna click inside the working area in order to deselect our slicer, and I'm going to select a card. Now this card is going to be showing us course location when we select the course name, and I'm gonna put a course location here. And when I select one of the courses, it goes to a database at that specific time, and it executes whatever is needed to be executed. So in fact here, as you can see, we have course location. I think we need to change it to course name or title of the course. So I'm gonna put a title here. Course location, I don't need this course location. Actually, I'm gonna add a slicer. I'm gonna put a title, which is a course name. So this is a course name. I can also format it correctly. I'm gonna add a title. I'm gonna set it to on, text course, and the font color dark blue, background color, keep it white, center it, and then the size of a title, I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. This one I want to format it with the border general. I'm gonna use the border color blue, radius round, so I'm gonna make it a bit round. And of course I can do additional formatting to this. Let's add a border, but for the sake of this presentation I'm gonna keep it the same. So border, I'm gonna turn the border on, and I'm gonna put the border color blue and the radius a bit more, so it look like round. Now I need to, now at this stage I need to save my report and publish it to the Power BI. So I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna publish it to the Power BI. And as you can see, I'm already connected to the service. Do you want to save your graphs? Yes, save please. And I'm gonna save it under student course 2. I'm gonna select Jinan's test workspace, which it's located right here. I'm gonna hit OK, select, and now it's going to publish this report or this page to the reports section of our Power BI service. So it published it. I can go directly from here to this report. And as you can see, the same things and updates that I've been doing there, it is loading them here. But before doing all this, this will not work and it will not show any data, especially when we interact with it, if we did not configure our gateway. Gateway, it's located right here. You can download the gateway for persistent data storage inside the Power BI service itself. As you can see, the download link to the right here, to the upper right, it says download gateway, data gateway. We need this in order to transfer the data from on premises to the Power BI service, because if we do not use this, it's going to load all the data that we have added to our Power BI desktop, and it will not load the data from the direct queries by itself. It needs a data gateway in case you are using direct queries and with the on-premise hosting. So when we click to download data gateway, it's going to redirect us to download an application. We click on download the gateway, we install it, and we will end up with something like this: on-premises data gateway. Now, since our dashboard, our report is already functioning well, it means that our data gateway is working very fine, and it understands the query that we wrote, and the data gateway, it executes that query against our database. So it's not directly executed from the Power BI service to the SQL Server, which is hosted on the premises, but it passes through the gateway, which is here. It goes from the online service to the gateway, and this gateway, it will execute this query from the SQL Server and return the results, only the results which we need, to the Power BI service here. So thus we can see all this that we are seeing right now. Without this, we are going to get an error: configured data source. And to configure a data source, we go to our manage gateways section here in the Power BI service, and my gateway is working fine. It says online, you are good to go. It means our gateway is online. Now see, we have many connections here. We can use many connections. My data connection, and it is very important for us to configure it correctly in order to get the right and to actually get the data to our reports and the dashboards. This is the name of my server, database name which I'm working with. Authentication method in my case is Windows, because my SQL Server locally is configured to use the Windows logins, my Windows logins. Username and password, they are the same as my Windows username and password, although username, it needs to be first prefixed with the domain name. My domain name is Jinan PC. As you can see here, this is my domain name, and this is my username. So this is the username of the account which I'm going to use in the configuration gateway section of the Power BI service, and the password, the Windows password. So let's go to our workspaces and see the latest report which was just generated. The latest report which was just generated is Student Course 2. As you can see, when I click on it, I can publish it to a dashboard, and I'm gonna do something like pin a live page, and it will ask me, do you want a new dashboard? Yeah, I want a new dashboard. Let's name it D2 Jinan. Pin live. Create a phone view. Not now, I want to go to dashboard, so we can create a phone view from here. You see, we have a mobile view here. So this is our dashboard. We've just created the dashboard in the Power BI, and we can send the link for people to view it on the internet. We can send the link or share. We're gonna share this dashboard, and the email addresses are the email addresses which are inside my organization, which is inside my account on the Power BI. So this is the account, but we can add more accounts in the billing section of this Power BI service, and we can send them an email. For now, I only have my account here for the presentation. I wanted to show you also something which is called so by this, as you can see, we can we have successfully connected our Power BI desktop to our SQL server, got some data from it using SQL query from persistent data source like SQL Server, which resides on our local machine, generated a small interactive report. We can reformat it to better suit our visual style more, and we used our gateway to transfer all the data that the user sees in a dashboard. But first we transferred all the reports to the dashboard inside the Power BI service here. I would like also to show you a custom visualization control, which you can download it from the internet. It's for free, and you can add it to all of your visualizations here, and it's called Synoptic Panel. It looks something like this. Synoptic Panel. It has a presentation on how to use it and etc. And once you download it, it's gonna reside in the folder where you have downloaded it. You can just add it from here, and I'm gonna show you a little bit, or explain at least what does it do, because it's the documentation is all on the internet too. So it says that I'm going to import a custom visual. The visual was successfully imported into this report. So it's successfully imported, so it's here. I'm gonna double click on it, and as you can see, it's a control. It looks the same as all of the other controls, but instead of fields which are predefined automatically, you can create your own fields with the mapped image areas. So it's gonna look something like this. This is the gallery of the predefined controls which were submitted before to the Synoptic designer for the Power BI. And let's pick one, for example, let's pick this one maybe. This one, or maybe this one, because it's very simple to describe. So this image is, as you can see, this is an image. You can import your custom image here, and you set areas. So this is an area, this is an area, this is an area, and all of those areas you can put a name for them here, and then you can export it to the Power BI, or you can submit it for them to the gallery in order to evaluate it, and then it will be shown here, but it needs to be evaluated by the people there. So you just can import without evaluation for yourself to use it in your project, and you define a custom maps, custom areas here with custom fields, and those fields, they are going to appear here. So you can pre-populate those fields based on your need of the custom image. It can be anything. It can be an image of whatever you want, and when you click, it's going to be interactive exactly as the controls, the other visualizations here. It's very useful in case you want to maybe design something that is not predefined in the visualizations area, and just from an image. So this is basically what you can do with it. So I would like to thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.